Personal responsibility. Before you start learning something from someone, it is required to clear your head entirely. Any real information will be lost in an arrogant and ignorant mind of yours, even if being taught by the greatest master. For an impactful process of knowledge transfer, you're obliged to open the mind. Personal responsibility is about controlling reality, not reacting to it. Imagine traveling by a car with your friend, and you suddenly get into an accident with your car flipped over the woods, and the friend of yours crying, "Why did I go with you? I knew that would happen," reacting to the reality, while you are searching the way out of the dangerous car, with the result being you saved and your friend getting blown up in the car. Every second of your reaction to the reality is a lost second of impact. If you explain to a newbie how he's got to fight, he will obviously not catch it, as he needs to perform 15 things simultaneously. And if he swears or even mumbles every time he does the thing wrong, while you just focus and do the punches with the brain turned off, then after an hour you'll experience twice as much progress as you do a try every 3 seconds, and he does one every 6 seconds. Now calculate the difference between you two after a month or a year or even a lifetime, and think what you could have done if you hadn't wasted so much time on nonsensical reactions. If a rocket is falling on you, the worst thing you can do is begin to lament about the impossibility and ridiculosity of a rocket falling on you in the middle of America, crying with indignation, instead of trying to run for your life, minimizing the risk of you appearing in the range of the shockwave. Another excellent observation is the fact that if you spent all the time you've wasted on pointless reactions to do some real action, you would not have a point to grunt anymore, as all the problems would have been solved by the moment. You have to go after the root cause, not the symptom. Do not accumulate problems and brag every time about them. Use the free moments you've got on the problem solving instead of complaining. Worldview. Any knowledge is absolutely useless without a right worldview. If a guy thinks that this life is for others, he will never be lucky and will always be poor, then it's pointless trying to explain to him anything, as he will not believe you and will not start acting, even if you give him everything he needs for it on a silver platter. An obvious demonstration of that can be seen in the mind of a typical TV viewer in Russia. If you say to a zombified TV fan that the annual budget of the Harvard University alone is 41 times bigger than the whole Russian education system funding, and therefore any kind of talk praising the best education in the world of Russia is ridiculous, his brain will not even consider this, instead denying all the facts and saying that the internet is all lies and the only truth is broadcast on the first channel. This exactly proves the greatest importance of a good worldview. There is another demonstration to make things simple. If you didn't catch the idea quite yet, different kinds of people see the same object differently. As in the forest, a botanist sees different types of trees, a forester sees it as a hunting ground, and a bureaucrat as a possibility to make some money on bribes and kickbacks. It is of your choice how you want to perceive the faced circumstances. It is of your right to brand it as a catastrophe or turn it into a salvation. Your worldview is a perception of the reality. If a dictator eats a child during a live stream, firstly his minions will claim that all of this is the enemy propaganda, then act like it was a joke. And when the dictator publicly admits it was not a joke and presents a DNA test confirming he ate a part of the child, they will say he is a true man for doing that. He wanted and did it. He doesn't fear anyone. And if he hadn't eaten the child, it would have been eaten by NATO soldiers. Focus on the changeable things. You need to forget about the things that you can't change at the moment, like politics. If you're living in a democratic country, you can vote or share your views. But getting constantly engaged in political discussions or demonstrations is simply a waste of time. It's certainly better to acquire some wealth and reputation firstly, and then start pursuing your political goals. The most you need to do is be aware of what's going on to avoid bad consequences to your life. If you understand that you're not a rhetorical genius, it's mostly pointless to participate in any kind of argument, especially with your friends. What you should do is press where you can, and if you can't, find a different solution to achieve your goal. If your friend got himself a bad company, the worst you could do is scream, reacting to reality and trying to prove that his new friends are morons. The consequence of this tactic will be complete ignoring of you by the friend and eventual marginalization with the new company, as you bring him only negative emotions. In the end, you will lose both your friend and the time you spent on convincing. The better reaction is to be his best friend, offer him a much better pastime, almost forcing him to abandon the bad guys, or building such a reputation that your word will mean everything to him. Instead of striving to assure a person that is a simple friend to you, and not obligated to obey your orders. This way, you will simultaneously improve yourself and save the friend. Don't build fantasies about possible scenarios. Clear yourself of illusions. Do the things you can do at the moment, and eventually you will achieve the illusionary goal. Going these simple but real steps. Neuro resource. We were making a surprise for my friend with her sister, and it required shopping all day long to get all the necessary things. And at the end of the day, the sister's brain completely melted, even despite she wasn't even doing the choices, but was just wandering around with me. The next 2 weeks, she spent eating fast food and watching TV shows, being in a vegetable state, not able to do anything but consume. The weird thing is the fact that she didn't actually choose anything herself, but got tired because your brain does not differentiate reality and fantasy. As if you watch a movie or play a game and you almost feel like the character. And after ending some masterpiece, you could feel like never before, just because you've seen some fantasy on the screen. It is an established fact that testosterone rises in the blood of the victorious side fans, while the loser's side experiences higher cortisol levels. That is great advice to not associate yourself with the losers. The most exhausting process for your mind is a choice, and the main characteristic here is the complexity of the choice, not its importance. Since your brain spends the same amount of energy to choose between Coke and Fanta and to choose the university of studying. Competent management of neuro resources defines your abilities. Spend 1 minute for unimportant problems and 100 days on the strategic problems. The situation when you waste an enormous amount of time on senseless choices leads to the absence of energy for the major ones. Sacrifice the time you spend on choosing the best rent and use it to elevate your lifestyle to not have to worry about the choice anymore. This quality makes a distinction between successful people and losers, as the successful ones save their neuro resources, understanding that all-round personal control is impossible and the time you have during your lifetime is significantly limited and extremely small. The losers don't get this obvious truth, take on a lot of undoable tasks, and end up in procrastination and depression. Please like and subscribe if you liked the video, and comment if you disagree with the stated information. Also provide the topics you personally want to be analyzed.